On the morning of November 4th of 2018, my life changed. I was riding my bike to the gym to work out, so I am a workout nut, and out of nowhere, a pickup truck came flying off exit 55 and hit me. Proceeded to drive around me and take off. The force of the collision snapped my neck, broke my back, broke my left arm, which I am left-handed, shattered 11 of my ribs, and crushed my pelvis. Also perforated my bladder. My skull was fractured.
And we were just listening to the victim, the survivor of this hit and run that nearly took her life. Now, this isn't just like any hit and run. This is a hit and run from someone who has been in and out of the system. This is a hit and run from someone who tried to avoid responsibility for weeks after the crash. And then even after given bond, didn't show up to his sentencing hearing. This is the actions of someone who blames his mommy at his parole hearing and says that he doesn't want to take programs. He wants to do it his own way. Anyways, there are some people that I think need to have longer prison sentences for these types of crimes. He might fall under that list, but hey, he does give a meaningful impact statement. Maybe it's authentic. It's hard to tell. You'll let me know. I'll unpack it with the details at the end.
Sir,
Stephen Irish, 393539.
hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Stephen Irish, 393539. He is serving a sentence of 13 years, execution suspended after 8 years, with 5 years probation to follow for failure to appear first and evading responsibility, which was serious physical injury. As of today, records reflect a parole eligibility date of January 11, 2025 at 50%. There is victim input in this case. The offender has an offender accountability plan. A review of the plan shows the offender has not completed any programs to date. He is currently participating in Tier 2, or he has completed Tier 2 correction and remains on the wait list for vocational and educational needs. Also, he also remains on the wait list for a job. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system scores, the offender overall score for recidivating falls within the moderate range. Mr. Irish, this is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
Okay, thank you very much. I wrote something. I'm just not very confident with reading. I get very nervous, so bear with me, please.
No problem. Thank you, Mr. Irish. Take your time.
Okay. I would like to begin today by saying I deeply apologize to the victim. I'm so sorry for all of the physical and emotional pain I have caused the victim to this day. I am sorry she ever had to think if she was going to be okay or what was going to happen to her. I know the victim may think I don't care, but I truly do. It was all in my heart. I think about what happened every single day, all day, and all the things I should have done different. And I wish I never looked down that day for that moment. It was irresponsible of me. I did not know what I hit, and when I looked up, I did not see anything anywhere, but I still made the poor decision to keep going instead of stopping. When I found out later that day that I hit a person, I panicked. And I was so scared and ashamed with myself. I just couldn't believe I actually did that to someone and made more poor decisions after that. I should have gone to the police and turned myself in immediately. I'm sure the victim relives that day, especially when she watches it on the news and sees it, the same thing happen to other people. I wish I could take all of her pain and horrible memories away that day, from that day. I'm so sorry to the victim for putting her through everything she went through. I would also like to apologize to the victim's family for all the emotional distress that I put them through. And I'm so sorry to the family and friends of the victim that they had to think for 1 second that they were going to lose the person that they love. I wish I could take all of their sleepless nights back, pain and frustration. I hope you can find it in your heart one day to forgive me. I would also like to apologize to my family for all the pain and suffering my actions have caused them. I know this hasn't been easy on them either. I have had a lot of time to sit here and think about what I did and who I have hurt. I do take full responsibility for my actions that day. If parole gives me a second chance today, I will prove to everyone that I can and will do better in my life. I will make my second chance count, and I won't ever make the same poor choices again. In my past, I always ran from my problems, but I've learned a lot being here. I will be using the tools I learned from my program to help me get through each day and face my problems head on. I look at life in a new way now. I realize the way I was living was the wrong way. I am a very long way from where I was before I came in here. I'm going to deal with any issue that may come up in my life straight on the right way by getting myself one-on-one counseling as well. I think talking to someone will help me continue to learn new tools to help me in my life going forward. I am a good person. I just got a little lost along the way. And I found my way back, and I know what I need to do going forward. I want to be the dad my kids deserve. They need me home and present right now. Their mother needs me there to help her and for us to raise our children together. It has been very hard on her also as well, on my in-laws for having to help take care of my responsibilities, which they shouldn't have to be doing. They are much older now and really need my help with day-to-day things. My daughter just had her first child and needs her father there for her. My oldest son needs me to still show him so many things, and I want to be there to show him the right way to live and how to be a good, successful man in life. My youngest son is now starting to go through changes that a young boy needs his father there to talk to. I sit and think every day about all of the memories I've missed out on with them. All of these years away has affected my family deeply, and I am sorry to everyone involved. I'm asking you today to please give me a second chance to prove I have changed and that I can be a productive member of society. I have a large, wonderful support system for myself. If I get approved for parole, I have a job waiting for me and will be restarting my own business. I am willing to and able to do whatever parole asks of me. I've had no tickets since I've been in here, and I've also been able to get a job. If given a second chance, I will not let parole down. I will not make you regret your decision. Thank you very much for your time today and consideration today. I appreciate you giving me the chance to speak on my behalf.
Thank you, Mr. Irish. I know you said you might struggle with that. I think you did pretty well. Statement was well thought out and prepared. So we appreciate you coming forward today with that statement. We will be asking you questions. At the end of our questioning, we will hear from the Office of Victim Services. After we hear from the Office of Victim Services, we will deliberate and give you our decision about parole. Do you have any questions?
No. I just, she said that, I don't know if it's in my record yet, but I do have it. I do have the job here working on the loading dock.
Working on the loading dock. Okay, thank you for that.
That's it. Thank you.
When did you start that job?
January.
In January. Okay.
And after I finished my program, the Tier 2 program.
Okay. Thank you for helping us with that date. Ms. Zappo-Sasso will begin with questions this morning.
Good morning, Mr. Irish.
Good morning.
So in looking through the reports that we have, I will start with some of the positives. You know, the lack of discipline reports is good to see. I'm glad to see that you completed the Tier 2 program, because in looking at some of your history, it appears that addiction and substance misuse has dominated some of what's happened in your life. So I was hoping that you could expand a little on what happened in Tier 2 and some of the strategies and work that you've done in that program.
The Tier 2 program was good for me because it clarified a lot of things that I had been doing since I was in here with, because they made me wait until I got past the 3 years to be able to do it. So I was just doing whatever I could to work on myself, and just learned that the self-talk that I was doing was good. Telling myself that certain things weren't worth it, and there isn't just one time. Knowing who I can go and turn to is one of the most important things, is knowing that when I feel a certain way, knowing who I could go and talk to. And I know that I need a one-on-one counselor just to deal with my other issues that I have in life, that I have from growing up as a kid, and also just it's better to have an outside source, somebody to talk to. And self-care, that taught me a lot about self-care is very important through addiction. It was it definitely helped me out with a lot of thinking and knowing what I have to do when I go outside, and making sure I have a good support team and who I need to reach out to when I feel that there's any situations in my life I have any temptations. But made sure before I came in, I cut everybody out of my life that did any type of pills or drugs or anything, and I dedicate all my time to my family.
So we did read about the turbulent nature of your childhood, so we understand those factors. I also know from some of the reports that you had sought treatment in Rushford and CVH previously. Can you tell me a little bit about that and why those weren't successful at that time in your life?
Okay, also when, for me, I know for I like to teach you, there was always a Band-Aid there, and that Band-Aid was the methadone. I'm not really the best at wording things. So for me, methadone is no good. It's just like it's just a Band-Aid. It's just, to be honest, real life, it gets you high. So that was always holding back since I got off it before I came in here, because I knew that that was going to be the best thing for me, to finally sit back. I don't know if this sounds right, but to suffer and remember what it is to wake up every morning and just be able to have a cup of coffee and not have to worry about going to the clinic, or if I'm going to be sick, or what happens if I miss the clinic. So I don't think that any of that ever really helped me, because I always had that Band-Aid on there. And I feel that this time being in here too opened my eyes, not only for the poor decision that I made that day when I hit the victim, but being in here also brought me back to reality of what day-to-day life is like without methadone. And it's just, it helped me bring me back to who I was before my car accident that started me on the long journey of being addicted to pills and all of that stuff.
What year was that car accident?
The end of 2009.
So how you mentioned that you, before you took tier 2, that you were working on yourself. What types of activities did you do while incarcerated leading up to tier 2 to work on yourself? How did you spend your time?
Well, I'm usually a pretty good judge of character when it comes to people in here, so I limited myself, for one, from being involved in any BS. And I would try to only talk to people that cared about actually going home and changing themselves. And I just basically concentrated on myself and my self-care, and telling myself that I'm worth it, and that each day I can get up and I can push through it. And it was pretty tough in the beginning through COVID, because we were only allowed out of the cell for 30 minutes a day. But it gave me a lot of time to sit and think and reflect on all of the things that I have done and all the people I've hurt. So I just try to stay positive, and I've kept to myself for the most part. Kind of hard in here with the situation of the way people live in here. It's hard to find positivity. So I just sifted through and found a couple of people that I could talk to and relate with, and that's about it. Just concentrated on me and my family.
Thank you. When you were speaking about your remorse and what happened to the victim, you discussed how you had made a series of poor decisions. And I would just like to go back a little bit before that accident, because unfortunately, we see a pattern of many poor decisions. You had been terminated from community supervision a couple of times, 3 times. You had not attended treatments. You had many positive drug screens. And I understand how a period of reflection, such as incarceration, can change a mindset. But during all of those times, what was happening in terms of you making those poor decisions? Was it fueled by your addictions or something else?
No, that was based all on my addiction. It was just always an up and down roller coaster, and with methadone and also with using your mind is always, and I hear it in here with these guys in the morning before they go and they get their dose, and they're like, oh man, I don't feel good, or the night before, I don't feel good. So sitting back all this time now I see what I was going through, and I know what they're going through now. It's a really big roller coaster that you go up and down on. And I'm just glad that I was able to get to where I am now, because then I was just going to the clinic, and then I would get stuck at work and I would miss the clinic. So then I would have to use to be able to go to work the next day, or then you miss a day and then they cut your dose in half. And for me, it's just not a positive life. Being involved in the methadone clinic, it just didn't work. It never did work. It's obvious that it didn't work. It wasn't successful for me. This is what I need right here, was to get 100%. And now it's been about 4 years.
I think that is insightful. I do think that it sounds like you've equated the methadone with masking some of the other issues in your life. But unfortunately, to get here, somebody was grievously injured. So I think we can all agree that definitely on your roller coaster of life was pretty much a rock bottom moment in terms of what you need to do in order to regroup. And you have 3 children. You have letters of support. And the one that really struck me was your 19-year-old son, who still, after most likely having a turbulent childhood himself, looks up to you and wants you in his life. And he references in his email that he had to become the man of the house. Those are hard words to hear from someone who is in their teen years watching something like this. And I assume that, the cycle needs to be broken here. I'm concerned about some of your vocational aspects and your employment. Over the course of the last 20 years, what has your employment picture looked like?
Either transported cars or done landscaping.
Has that been under the table or has it been legal employment?
There was times in the early 2000s, there was some under the table. Sometimes there was a couple landscape, but then I had worked, I worked for Bristol Record for a while. I worked for other major companies transporting cars. And then I've also worked for some landscape companies that were all on the books towards the end. And then that's when my family thought that I should just do my own thing. And that's when I wanted to get into transporting cars for myself. So.
Do you currently have a valid driver's license, Mr. Irish?
Yes, it's restored, yes.
What happened during the times that led you to violate your probation in 2012?
I'm sorry?
In 2012, you had 2 violations of probation. Do you remember those?
That was in the beginning, right? In the beginning of my years of addiction, I would say they would probably have to be dirty urine.
And what is the plan? Has it changed to go out in terms of pro-tech or employment whenever you
Yes.
have your eventual?
So ProTech is going to be my main source to get me back going in life. I'm going to be doing several different things for them. Going to be delivering supplies to where they need to go, running errands, maintaining their vehicles.
Did you ever get your GED?
Yeah, I sent in all my high school stuff to the jail.
That's all I have for questions. I'm going to turn this back over to the chair. Thank you for speaking with me.
Thank you. That was Dasu. So, Mr. Irish, I do have some follow-up questions for you. So I want to talk about the offense charges for a little bit.
Okay.
So when the parole officer asked you if you thought your sentence was fair, you said no. And you said that that you didn't intend to harm anyone.
It's not
So-
that.
Okay, you want to expand on that just a bit?
No, it's not that it wasn't. It's not. I don't know. It's not that it wasn't fair. It's hard to explain. What I did was it's horrible. I wish I could take it back. I wish I never looked down that day.
Yeah.
I've always been somebody to help people if I could.
Well, you know, Mr. Irish, I think it goes beyond, I should never have looked down. I think
It was there. It was.
Excuse me?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I want to just say that I think that my view is that these charges and your sentence go way beyond I shouldn't have looked down. It appears that, you know, you looked down, you say you didn't realize that you hit somebody, although it is kind of difficult if you think about it, that you hit a person on a bicycle and you didn't see that you hit somebody.
And the road is an S turn when it goes through, and I had to look down in the middle of the S turn for some stupid decision. So after I felt the bump, and then I went to the left, and then I went to a gas station after that, and it was a crack in the headlight, and I never thought that I had hit a person on a bicycle.
Okay, all right.
And then
So
when I got home and I saw it on the news, and that's when I continued to make poor decisions after that.
you and your girlfriend continued to make poor decisions. You tried to hide the vehicle, and then you continued to lie about having the truck, where you were, and all of that. Why don't you think you just admitted? I mean, it was an accident, as you said, it wasn't intentional. Well, why didn't you just admit what had occurred rather than go through this whole charade of making up stories, showing up in a different vehicle when the police wanted to question you, lying about having the truck?
Everything was me. Nothing had to do with my wife. They dragged her into this just because we lived together. All the decisions that were made were my poor decisions.
Okay.
She had nothing to do with anything.
Okay, so we'll put that aside.
Me and the manager of the company had a disagreement, and they were very upset. And they also tried to say that I didn't have permission to drive the vehicle, which I had text messages to prove that I had permission to drive that vehicle, and I was the foreman. And I also had permission to use the gas card and all those things.
I'm going to stop you for a quick minute here because you're getting off track.
Right. I'm sorry.
I'm not questioning whether or not you had permission to drive the truck or not, use the gas card. What I'm asking is, if it was unintentional, as you say, and I don't think that there's a real question about that, is that why go through the whole charade of trying to cover it up?
I was scared. I was embarrassed. I was ashamed. and I was scared to come to where I am. And I couldn't believe that something I did affected somebody so badly.
Okay.
It's I don't know. There's not a day that doesn't go by that I don't think about it, and it's hard to believe the decisions that I've made.
Okay,
Mm.
and then I want to move on to the failure to appear. So you failed to appear for court, which I'm going to say that it probably factored in to your sentence.
Okay.
Sure. Why did you fail to appear for court?
Okay, so during COVID, when the courts were shutting down, I know my medical issues are nowhere near as bad as hers, but I had gotten continuances because I started having issues with the blood going from my feet back to my heart. I have the vein in each one of my legs, and the valves inside the veins need to be closed
Okay,
off, but
so,
in the
Mr.
beginning, I was going to
Okay.
a heart special.
Okay,
Go ahead.
I don't try to talk over me because I need to
Okay, I'm
explain to
sorry.
you
Yeah,
that
I'm sorry.
we're live streaming this hearing today. So
Yeah.
you can we read all about your medical condition.
Okay,
So you can state generally
Okay.
that you had a very serious medical
Okay,
condition that you were dealing
okay.
with.
all right, so during COVID, I was going to a specialist, and then the last day, my lawyer told me that he was going to get me one last continuance because I had a third specialist I had to go to.
Okay.
He had called me and told me that he would be able to get me the continuance. He was going to put in for it. He called me and told me he couldn't get to the continuance. So that's when I had texted him. He said, let me know what time you could be there. I had texted him and said 2 o'clock. I just have all the text messages saved. And then he called me back at 20 after 1 and said that the judge upped it and gave me a failure to appear with a warrant.
Okay. So you had failed to appear for court, and then you were an absconder basically for 1 year and 2 months. Is that true?
Oh, you're talking about 2020
I'm talking about when you were supposed to appear for court,
and 2021, sentencing thing.
3/5/20.
Oh, so
The judge, and then you did not go back to, you were not back again for 1 year and 2 months.
no.
So what were you doing in that time frame?
No, so in the 2020, the date was May 5th, 2020. That was when they said that I missed jury selection. I had never missed jury selection. So I had turned myself into the New Haven Police Department in 2020. We never said we were taking anything to trial. That was supposed to be corrected. That's when my lawyer said that he would talk to whoever he needed to talk to, parole or probation. Because that was supposed to be corrected. I had turned myself in.
But, okay, but you pled guilty to it.
That's what, so when my lawyer, so in 2020, I think it's May 5th of 2020, if I'm correct, I'm bad with numbers. My lawyer called me and said that we missed jury selection. And I said, what are you talking about? So he said, just turn yourself in. It's all going to be corrected. So I had turned myself into New Haven Police Department. That was during COVID. They had, the regular courthouse wasn't even open. We had this another courthouse in New Haven they brought me to. And they remandated me there and gave me another bond. So then I bonded out. And I bonded out again. And then we went back to court through COVID. And that's when I was supposed to come in July 23rd. And then I had started having all the medical issues. But my lawyers, that's when I met with him, my lawyer said that he would try to get it clarified, because I told him, I said, it's still not cleared up. But he had never taken care of it, obviously.
So then you pled guilty to the evading responsibility, failure to appear in the first degree.
Correct.
Then you were sentenced to your current sentence. And then in another court, you were dealing with a violation of probation, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And that basically was for positive drug tests.
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
And that was in 2019. All right. So you mentioned that you finished the tier 2 program. You thought
Correct.
you did, you confirmed a lot of your own beliefs about how to manage your substance abuse.
Yep.
You identified triggers, you said. What are those triggers that you have identified?
Who I cannot be around, who I can be around, positive things. And really it was me. It was me that needed the work and needed to find myself again and figure out what worked best for me. And I have figured that out. That being 100% clean was the best thing, and having a one-on-one counselor when I get out, because you can't have that in here. And I know that that's something very important for me to have.
So you identified triggers as being around people. Is that
Old friends.
what I'm hearing? Old friends.
Old
Okay,
friends.
so that's your trigger.
Yeah.
And can you tell me what you've developed as a relapse prevention plan?
Knowing who I can call immediately if I'm starting to feel weak, and always knowing that there is not just one time, that there is no times. There isn't just one time. I can do it one time. This isn't going to hurt me. And just every day to do self-care and just always tell myself that I can do this.
You've done a few different treatment programs, and you stated earlier you were in the methadone program for a little bit. Do you think that's a reasonable relapse prevention plan? Do you think it addresses all your needs?
I'm sorry, what?
The plan that you just laid out for me, I'm going to be honest with you. It doesn't have a lot of substance to it.
Well,
For somebody,
I know that group settings, me sitting and listening to other people's war stories is not what works for me. What works for me is a one-on-one counselor and being around positive, motivated people in my family. And I know that methadone, Suboxone, and all those things do not work for me. Being 100% clean is what works for me.
okay. So have you ever were you seeing a one-on-one counselor prior to coming to prison?
No, I had that years and years and years ago. And when I was here, it's hard for mental health to spend a lot of time with you, but I advocated it a lot in the beginning. I couldn't eat up a lot of her time, but I would sit and talk with her for maybe 10 to 15 minutes and it would help. But there's a lot of other things I couldn't get into with her because she has a lot of people to take care of. I wish they did offer it here, but they don't.
Have you done NA and AA before, or any other kind of treatment other than the methadone program that you said didn't work for you?
Did Suboxones, and then I did methadone, and then I did the program, the groups within the methadone program. So trying other meetings and trying to find other clean people is definitely an option. I just want to make sure that I have somebody out there that can find me somebody then if I'm going to talk to that's serious and not 100% all the way. So that's why I know it's good for me to be around the people that I do know, like my in-laws that have always been there for me and always wanted the best and know who I am before my car accident and all these things started.
Is there any other programs while you've been incarcerated that you think would have been helpful?
I had tried signing for the program and they said that they had too many people doing programs that weren't on their OAP.
Well, what I asked was, are there
I
any
tried
other
to do,
programs?
I tried to sign up for Voices, but they told me it wasn't on my OAP. That's why I said, okay, well, maybe then there would be something I could do for that when I got home.
So I want to go back to the question that my colleague asked. You've only recently completed the Tier 2 program. So that took what, 2 or 3 months to do that program?
November to January,
Okay, and it meets twice a week?
3 times.
3 times, okay, perfect.
It was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Sounds great, thank you for that clarification. Can you tell me, can you elaborate again for me how you were occupying your time leading up to getting into that program?
Up to that point, I would, if we were allowed to go outside, I would walk around and think. I would just self-care, really. I mean, I don't want to, I mean, you guys know what goes on here. It's hard to find positive spaces in here. So
All right,
the most positive space was in my cell most of the time.
okay.
And that's how you stay out of the mix and being around things that I don't want to be around or be a part of.
So
Most of my time, it sounds crazy, but most of my time I stay in my cell unless we were allowed to go outside.
okay, all right. So thank you for that clarification. I appreciate that. So I'm going to go back to your opening statement. In your opening statement, you said that you think that the victim thinks that you don't care. Why do you feel that the victim has that impression?
I feel that the victim feels that way because of my action that day by not stopping and not turning myself in. I guess most people would probably call me a coward.
Did you apologize at sentencing?
No, I was not there that day. That's why I have a lot of thoughts that run through my head of things I would say to her or say to the victim. I'm sorry. That's why I wrote down what I could, because my emotions of what I have done, it would be hard for me to get it all out. I'm just ashamed of what I've done.
Do you think you take responsibility for this crime?
Take full responsibility every day. Think about what I put her through. Think about the person, the victim's children, they had to feel about possibly losing their mother.
Because it took about a month and a half before they arrested you. During that 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 7 weeks, did you consider turning yourself in? Did you consider that the victim was in the hospital and that really it was the right thing to do?
Yes, my lawyer that I had after that, the lawyer that I had been using before my new lawyer told me I was given very bad advice on what to do.
Who said you were given very bad advice?
My lawyer on this case.
So
From the
who was
lawyer
giving you advice if your lawyer wasn't giving you advice?
I don't know what I'm allowed to, I don't know what I'm allowed to say on here, but I was just told that I already left the scene, I already made bad decision, they're gonna come and get you, they're gonna come and get you. And they wanted $10,000 to start a case with me.
Oh, I mean, you were what, 35 years old when that happened?
I didn't know.
You're,
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I was a wreck. I didn't know what I did. I don't know.
all right. And the only thing I want to, again, go back to is, because I know my colleague asked you a few times about your probation terms, and, you know, you didn't do well on probation. And as we talked earlier in my questioning, you were sentenced, you were going through a violation of probation around the same time that you were dealing with these charges. Is why don't you think that you couldn't why couldn't you work with probation? I'm sure that when you were testing positive, they were trying to help you get into a drug treatment program, to deal with your addiction. Why do you think you were struggling to not deal with it at the time?
Because I always had that Band-Aid on, and that was the methadone. And nothing, that stuff never helped me. It always gives you that same thing that an addict's looking for. And those programs, from my opinion, that's not the right way to just medicate somebody. That's not dealing with the problem.
So really the issue is that it was the methadone.
It was me, and that the methadone and being the program probably would have worked better if I wasn't on methadone. If I had never started, maybe I probably would have had a better chance. But for me,
I mean, you have choices. Just like with this offense, you had a choice.
correct. Yeah.
You had a choice.
I wasn't strong enough to make the right choice with continuing to be high on methadone, as it's the same as being high on pills or whatever you're doing. I wasn't a strong enough person then.
Other than the Tier 2 program, is there any other voluntary programs you can be doing at the facility to help you with your substance abuse? Are there any NA meetings, AA meetings, any other kind of self-help programs that you could do on your own even?
They just started bringing the NA meetings back during COVID, all the way up in about a little more than a month. So I think they've only been back for about a year now.
Have you been attending?
No, that's why I was waiting to do Tier 2. They told me that there was a waiting list for NA and AA meetings. And I was also on the waiting list to do Tier 2.
Well, we know you're on the waiting list to Tier 2, but it's not often that we hear there's a waiting list. P.O. Smelly, is there a waiting list to go to the self-help meetings? Check in with
volunteer. They volunteer.
Yeah.
This
Okay.
would be- But I've been here.
So you were on the waiting list to go to the self-help
Yeah.
meetings for the last year?
I
never moved
can't
up on the
speculate
waiting
on the time. I want to say, I think they've been back for about a year. But when I was here in the beginning, there was none of that during COVID. There was no
Yeah.
else, so there was none of that stuff.
Okay. Have you, and you've been on the waiting list since they started up the meetings again?
No, I went and did the Tier 2 program. After Tier 2, I was able to get the job because the person that had it was going home after 2 years of having the job. And now I just been working, and then someone got hurt, so I'm doing loading dock all day, and then I'm doing second shift trash 8:30.
Well, Mr. Irish, we are certainly pleased to hear that you're keeping busy, that you're working. But you told me that you started the job last month. So my question to you was, have you been on the waiting list for the voluntary programs?
Yeah,
For
I
a
signed
year.
up for it last year.
Last year, okay. And is there anything else you could have been doing during that time frame that was voluntary, something you could have done on your own through your tablet or outside information?
Nobody really, I mean, there's not that I know of. There's really, You either got to take what you hear from other inmates, you ask a counselor a question in here and they tell you to write a request, they'll get back to you, and sometimes the requests don't even come back. There's really no structure in this place. There is no good help in this place. To be honest, there is no structure in here at all. If you actually knew what was going on in here, that's really not a very positive place.
Well, I mean,
So I try the best to take care of myself and do what I can and ask the questions that I can. And sometimes they don't get answered.
okay, Mr. Irish, I've heard your issues with the facility. And it seems to me that I'm finding that it's diverting from you answering some of the questions, to be honest with you. You know, we interview hundreds of people from your facility and many, many other facilities. And so we do have a fairly good understanding of how the facilities operate internally. So we do know that, you know, there are voluntary programs that you can access, whether it's in person or on your tablets. We do know that there are waiting lists for programs. You know, your drug and alcohol score is a 3, which is a moderate level for substance abuse. You have a significant history of substance abuse. I'm concerned with your relapse prevention plan that it's not very detailed. I don't disagree that one-on-one counseling could be very beneficial. Sounds like at the time you had done it, you feel like it worked for you, and probably that's one of the most important things is feeling like the treatment you're participating in is something that works for you, because there are many paths to recovery. We do understand that. But our concern today is your suitability for parole and whether or not we see evidence of offender change that make you suitable to be out in the community.
Also in Tier 2, they also teach you that sometimes NA and AA is not for everybody.
There are different paths to recovery. There are different paths.
So that's why I know that a one-on-one counselor for me, because is what works best for me. That helps me deal with things from my childhood up until the point of my accident, and how I've always ran and hid from all my problems, because when I was growing up, if you look at my PSI, my mother always protected me or saved me. And whenever Stephen got in trouble, someone who was always there to help me growing up. And I feel that was always is not good. Sometimes you got to have tough love. And
Okay. All right, Mr. Irish. Let me see if Ms. Chance has any questions for you.
Actually, I do. Thank you, Madam Chair. So, Mr. Irish, I want to go back and, just point out some good things that you said. And one was your apology to the victim, and that you thought of all the things that you should have done but didn't do. You also was able to say that you're a good person, you just got lost along the way. So that's like taking responsibility. And you said you're usually a good judge of character, and that's what helped you not to get any DRs. So those are all positive things. So I want to go back to the day when you hit the person. Were you using that day?
no, when I was on methadone.
I asked you, were you using that day? Is
No.
it a?
No, I
Okay.
was not using that day.
Okay. The other thing that you said is you asked for parole to give you a second chance. But Mr. Irish, this would be your 5th chance, because you were only successful once and you failed on 3 occasions, and that would include probation. So it wouldn't be the second, it would be your fifth. Okay. And then you said that your kids need you home and your mom and your in-laws, but you need to understand they've always needed you. You just choose to continue using. So you took the tier 2 and you've said that one-on-one counseling is good for you, and that's a good thing. But there are also other things that you never spoke about, is getting a sponsor, working on the 12 steps, and those you can do on your own or you can do with a sponsor. So those are options. And it's good that you've recognized that methadone and Suboxone is what you're saying, not good for you. And that's kind of what caused you to violate your probation. So I didn't hear you talk about how you were gonna stay sober in the community, how you were gonna be able to identify your triggers and your urges, and what you would do if those happen to you. And yes, the one-on-one counseling would be helpful, but because of your extensive substance abuse, I think you would need more than that. You mentioned other issues that you're going to address during your one-on-one counseling. But for me today, Mr. Irish, I don't see you as being suitable. I think you need to really figure out how you're going to stay clean and sober when you go back in the community. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chance. So, Mr. Irish, we are now done with the question portion of the hearing. We are going to hear from the Office of Victim Services. Ms. DeJesus?
Good morning, board members. I do have the victim on the line. This is your opportunity to express to the board your wishes and your concerns. I am to remind you that you are to address the panel members only, and you may begin.
Okay. On the morning of November 4th of 2018, my life changed. I was riding my bike to the gym to work out, so I am a workout nut, and out of nowhere, a pickup truck came flying off exit 55 and hit me. Proceeded to drive around me and take off. The force of the collision snapped my neck, broke my back, broke my left arm, which I am left-handed, shattered 11 of my ribs, and crushed my pelvis. Also perforated my bladder. My skull was fractured. Over the next 4 days, I underwent 6 surgeries. The doctors had to put me back together. About almost 2 months later, I had an additional surgery to remove an external fixator that was holding my pelvis together. I couldn't move. I had to sleep like that. Over the next year, I went through intensive physical rehabilitation, eventually graduating to a walker, then taking my first steps. I had in-home therapy and outpatient therapy. I continue with physical therapy and also mental health counseling to this day. I worked hard to get to where I am, and I am grateful, and I concentrate on the positive. But daily, I have constant pain, numbness, heaviness in my body. I'm a runner. I run races. Unfortunately, I can't do that anymore. I'm lucky to be alive. I can't even believe that I have to say I'm lucky to be alive over someone's carelessness. Accidents happen. but what happened was a crime. I additionally ended up needing 3 more surgeries for a total of 10 surgeries. I missed about 1.5 years of work. I'd like to just state also, Mr. Irish only showed up to court once. I happened to be in court that one day. It was in January. I was just let out of the hospital. He never showed up. The day of the sentencing, our whole family is there. I'm there. I've got my victim impact statement. He doesn't show up. Judge says to his attorney, go find out where your client is. You got 5 minutes. Came back out. We talked, my attorney. They gave him 3 additional years. Attorney comes in. Yeah, he's nowhere around. So he got 3 more years. That was it. They issued a warrant for his arrest. He was picked up a week later at Dunkin' Donuts in North Branford. Cop pulled him over. He gave a fake name. Cop was a little suspicious, hassled him a little bit. Finally, I guess he gave him his name, ran it, picked him up, put him in jail. He doesn't deserve to be out. He got, 13 years? What he served, not even 4? It's an injustice. I live with this every day of my life. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, board members.
Thank you, and thank you to the victim for coming forward. We appreciate her statement. Right, Mr. Irish, we will now deliberate and give you our decision in just a moment. All right, Ms. Zappo-Sasso, back to you.
So this is obviously a very serious case. And, it seems to me that Mr. Irish has had the last 1.5 decades of his life that has been riddled with poor choices and poor decisions and addiction since his accident and his opioid addiction. And all of this, it culminated with a motor vehicle offense resulting in what we've heard to be extremely serious injuries with long-term ramifications that altered her life, multiple aspects, financial, physical, and emotional. I will say that in speaking with Mr. Irish this morning, he is a different person than the one that I read about in some of these reports. He appears to take responsibility after all of these years since this accident and incident. He is showing remorse and acknowledges the severe impact to the victim. And he has completed tier 2. And he is beginning to acknowledge what works for him in terms of his recovery. Not Suboxone, not methadone. He needs mental health, individual therapy. He has identified some of the triggers, including old friends. He has the potential of a job. He has acknowledged family and community support, and he knows that he needs additional services. But I believe that this is a very fragile state of recovery right now. And I concur with my colleagues that his relapse plan is also very fragile. As has been noted, there are different paths to recovery, but I do believe that success in the community as well as public safety hinges upon a very robust relapse plan and a confidence level for Mr. Irish to come out and know that he can be successful. There are many victims here, starting with the one that we just heard from who suffered egregious injuries. Mr. Irish, I think to a certain extent, has suffered as well. I think his family and especially his children have suffered. So in terms of suitability, I do see that there is emerging offender change. And I think that that needs to be built upon. So I believe that today we do have an inadequate release plan. We have nature and circumstances to take into consideration. And I'm open to other conversation points from my colleagues about where to go from here. But those are the two that I've starred for the conversation to begin.
I appreciate all your comments, Ms. Abu-Sasso. I'm struggling with the same issues. I do hear levels of acceptance of responsibility. I do hear some hints of remorse. And I say that with some hesitation, because it's not just that Mr. Irish considers that his sentence was too harsh. It's, there were things leading up to how the sentence came about.
Right.
In answering questions today, there's a lot of, and I'm going to call it finger pointing. It's not the jail is not a good place. Well, it's not supposed to be a good place. I was on a wait list. I couldn't do self-help meetings. So I was on a wait list for that. I was here during COVID, and that's all true. I think things have been back to normal for a little bit longer than Mr. Irish is really putting forward. I think Ms. Chance hit the nail on the head when she said, there are things he could do on his own. He could be working through the 12 steps. He could be reading or, working on other areas of recovery that would support sobriety in the community. There are, and we're going to say it again, many paths to recovery. We're not saying that, he needed to be attending support meetings, but sometimes, if that's all that's available to you, maybe that is what you do, because you can always get a little something. Mr. Irish has a history of substance abuse that has affected his life and his family's life, and now has affected the community. I know he believes that methadone is his downfall, and it seems as though it is not for him, but I'm not sure that is the catalyst for everything that we're seeing here today. I'm concerned with the failure to appear for court. I see that as a continued lack of acceptance of responsibility. One of my questions that I had written down was, for an individual that has done several treatment programs, even if you haven't been successful with them, I was disappointed that his relapse prevention plan wasn't more detailed, didn't contain some more information. He seems to be, with his mental health history, that he will benefit from one-on-one counseling, and I'm happy to see and appreciate that he recognizes what that need is for himself. But I am struggling with suitability today for parole. For many reasons, I'm not hearing a lot of change in Mr. Irish. I still hear a lot of deflection. So I think our question here today, because Ms. Chance had said earlier, was, do we give Mr. Irish an opportunity to come back for the board? And I would apologize in advance to the victim for bringing this up, because I know that, it brings the victim back again. But we do want what's best for Mr. Irish and what's best for the community. And ultimately, it benefits everyone. And I wanted to say to the victim, I'm not sure she would feel that way, but it does benefit everybody if Mr. Irish is more stable coming back into the community. Ms. Chance, what do you think?
So, I agree with absolutely everything that both of you said. I just wanted to add that when he talked about his violation of probation and blamed it on this Suboxone and methadone. So when you are on there, from my experience in dealing with these two programs, that you can request one-on-one counseling, and there are group meetings that go along with them in the community. I didn't hear him say he reached out to the DOC mental health unit to ask for one-on-one, which he identified and, could have started the process. Had I heard that, it would have been helpful.
But
You know-
he did. He said it was only a little bit of time that was allotted to him though, and I don't know what the process is inside.
But he's been there for a while, and if he identified that as a real concern, could have started the process there. And in terms of his substance abuse, I don't know what is going on at Osborne in terms of having to sign up for the NA meetings. But I do think that there are alternatives. He's a smart person, could have seeked out. So for me, Madam Chair, I don't find him suitable today for, some of blaming and lack of accepting the responsibility as it relates to his mental health and substance abuse. And he took tier 2. He did, identify one of his triggers as old friends, but his relapse prevention plan was not there. And I think that would have been important for him. I see a tiny little bit of offender change, but not enough for suitability. So the question is,
When he's got a little ways to his end of sentence, which is 2028. I mean, at the risk, I know it's difficult and we really struggle to not have to bring a victim back. But it is a long way to end a sentence. And I think with our comments today, maybe Mr. Irish will have a little broader perspective on what he needs to do. What do you think, Ms. Devilsas?
I think he should try to do tier 4 and do a relapse prevention, and we could bring him back a year and a half.
I do think, I don't know if we can strongly encourage that, but I think tier 4 is
Sure,
definitely,
we can.
we can.
It can be a recommendation
We can make
if we're considering a rehear. Yeah.
Well, we can't make it happen, but we can certainly strongly recommend it.
And again, with complete deference to the victim, again, I think our job here is to ensure that we do the best of our ability to ensure that what she suffered isn't repeated. And I do think ensuring that there's some additional programmatic attention given would warrant us to then check in again in a year and a half or so prior to end of sentence in order to ensure that there is offender change and responsivity.
Thank you. Okay, so it sounds as though we're in agreement for giving Mr. Irish an opportunity to come back before the board again. And we're thinking 18 months.
Yeah.
Right. So if that's February, August,
Next year, 26.
6th, thank you both. And we're evidence of offender change, inadequate program participation.
So he did take programs. So I would put nature, and for me, the victim's impact was pretty high, okay, for me. So I would just use those two, knowing that
Do we say inadequate release plan?
Yes,
Which includes
yes.
a relapse prevention plan?
right, because if he does tier 4, some of that would occur during that.
I had nature and circumstance. Or did we do, are we gonna do victim? Which one did we?
We're gonna do both.
could do it. Okay, and then I had inadequate release plan. It was also,
So there's four.
And-
Inadequate evidence of offended change, inadequate release plan, injury in nature. Was that
Sounds good.
four? Yeah.
Okay, so in the matter of Stephen Irish, 393-539, there's a motion to deny parole for the following reasons: nature and circumstance of the current offense, injury and impact to the victim, inadequate evidence of offender change, an inadequate release plan, which includes his relapse prevention plan. We would also like to have Mr. Irish come back before the board for a rehearing in August 2026. We are making a strong recommendation that Mr. Irish be considered for a Tier 4 program and the opportunity to apply for an aftercare program if that's available, and any other additional positive program that may assist him, and to continue to not have any disciplinary reports. Do I have a second? Second. All those in favor? Aye. All right, Mr. Irish, did you understand kind of our discussion?
Yeah, I understand. I just don't see how being in a Tier 4 program would be beneficial to me, with being around a bunch of people that are on methadone and Suboxones, that are nodding out and falling asleep in the program.
Okay,
Being
well,
around people that are high. It's not
All right.
beneficial to me to be around people that are doing things like that.
okay. Well, Mr. Irish, I'm hopeful that perhaps you'll either see the benefit of it or be able to come back before the board with a more robust relapse prevention plan, release plan, maybe some more insight. We appreciate you, all your comments, and
Hopefully somebody can fill you guys into what really goes on in here, so you know what goes on in these programs
All right.
and here, these Tier 4 programs.
all right, thank
Thank
you,
you.
Mr. Irish. We're all set.
This concludes the hearing for Stephen Irish, 393-539.
Well, there you have it. A man baby, a giant man baby who cannot take responsibility for himself, who has no insight, who is blaming everyone else, who is given a gift of having a parole hearing in 18 months. What they should have said is no. See you later. You're done. You're going to fill your full sentence. He shows up here and he literally blames his mother for always coming to his to save him. It's his mother's fault that he's in prison. You know, the parole board, I thought they were kind of like hitting it on the head in terms of, if you listen to what they were saying in evaluation, calling out how he's not taking it seriously, calling out how he, his sentence is long, but it's because he didn't show up to sentencing. A man who does a hit and run then doesn't show up to sentencing. He earned 3 more years. I love it. But there's also the gimmick of the sentence. I'm not sure the victim realizes it. Yeah, he was sentenced to 13 years, but only has to serve 8. And they do this in the DOC to trick victims. It's really an 8-year sentence. Then he has supervision for those next years, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 years. So he has 7 years of supervision. So I don't know why they're like, well, we want to give him something let's let him out even earlier, so he'll have more supervision. That part doesn't make sense. That part makes no sense. His maximum release date is 2029. They could have just said, "Nah, you're done." Or they could have said, "You know what? You want to give him a little bit of the carrot at the end of the stick to do what they said he needs to do. Well, then you can set it for 2028. You don't need to do 18 months. I mean, the victim just went through this. And what it's easy to forget is that it's not like, okay, in a year and a half, she has to deal with it. No, everyone's different, but some people it's like, oh my God, it's 11 months I need to come up and probably see him get paroled. Now it's 10 months. Now it's 9 months. Now it's 6 months away. I'm losing sleep. What are they going to do? They're for sure going to parole him. This is insane. So it eats away at you. You're re-victimizing the victim. And then you're going to re-victimize the victim when you parole him. there are so many words I'm thinking of more than Manbaby. It's like this. There are certain people, the maturity level. It's like there's nothing there. He's literally sitting in prison for a hit and run. He blames narcotics. He blames, and then, but no, he's too good. He's too special. No. Only thing that will work for me is one-on-one therapy. Oh, and then we'll say, you know what? Take this tier 4 program, go in there, and he throws a tantrum. He throws a tantrum. He says, this isn't gonna be good for me. It's not gonna be good for me to be in there with other people who are like totally nodding out, and they're like, and what? Nodding out on the stuff that you were probably nodding out on when you hit her? Oh, those kind of people on that kind of oh, you don't want to be around them? You nearly killed a lady because you were on this stuff, right? No. But what he does is he blames it. I took a turn and I was looking down. He takes no accountability. I mean, really, who knows what happened? Usually people run because they know that they're going to get a DUI. That's the biggest. See, sober people don't run because you're driving a bike. People hit bikes all the time, but it's the ones who are intoxicated. Those are the ones that get in trouble. So they run. And then he takes, again, no accountability leading up to it. He had in his speech where it seemed like he teared up and he seemed to think about, it was a little bit more, but maybe it was an act, maybe, I don't know. There, once he cut through the beginning of the speech, it was just like there's just nothing there. No accountability. I thought he was lying. The parole board, I thought, should have held him really down to the fire. Yeah, you hit a bike and you didn't know that you hit her? And then you found out you hit her, and then he's talking about, oh, they lied, my wife and I had to do it. Oh, it said that he was driving a 2013 Ford F-250. That is a big truck. He hit her on Route 1 near the intersection of Featherbed Lane at 8:20 a.m. on November 4th. This is broad daylight. This is 8:20 a.m. It should be a safe time to ride your bike. She's like a workoutaholic. Like I was, that article I sent you. She like got back in the gym right off her walker. I mean, go lady. That is a true survivor. Someone who just doesn't give up. Someone who her life is working out. She gets her body wrecked, fights through it, and then is back at the gym like a year later for a fundraiser for her. Inspiring stuff. That is inspiring stuff. Some people, you go through something like this and you just give up, and you'll never get through it. But man, I mean, it's like it's a lifestyle to work out. It's just a lifestyle. I hope I can always have that kind of lifestyle for myself. One day, this. What does he do? He. How long did it take for them to catch him? Let me see what I have here in the articles. Where was it? 34 years old when he. North Haven man charged in Bradford hit and run on bike. Bicyclist broke. This is December 2019. 34 on charge in connection with evading motor vehicle crash. Serious injuries. With assistance from the Central Connecticut Traffic Unit, Brantford Police secured an arrest warrant showed before 2 p.m. on Friday, December 28th. So from November 4th to December 28th. They eventually got him. So he tried to get away with it for the longest time. What's he say? He says, "Oh, it's my attorney's fault. My attorney said you ran away from the scene. You're already screwed." So, and that's such no way. Now he wants $10,000. So the attorney, there's no way the attorney. I cannot believe that an attorney would give that advice. The attorney would say, "Yeah, you ran, you're screwed, but you should reach out to the detective and, they were investigating him. He was trying to make it like it wasn't him. He had switched, you heard this stuff, right? You would reach out and say, yes, it was me. And it would have affected sentencing. 8 years for great bodily injury on a hit and run is a lot in the state of Connecticut. We see people who get half the time for killing someone. We see people show up for parole after 2 years for vehicular homicide. So it's like he just thinks that that it's really insane. Again, imagine if you were in his shoes and you were in prison and you're saying it's substance abuse, this and that. Wouldn't you want to, like, what else can you do with your time? Wouldn't you want to do everything in these 12 steps and these programs to better yourself? I mean, you don't have the right to say, no, I only want to do one-on-one therapy. Sorry. It's the immaturity level. He's the definition of a man baby. I probably have to call this title a man baby in a truck as parole or something like that. I mean, like, his hearing wasn't man baby at the beginning, right? But full blown man baby at the end there. You could just see him throwing tantrums at home and his entire life taking no accountability. Yeah, it's his mommy. Blame his mommy. Let him get away with it, but you can't get away with it here in the parole board. You saw him throw a tantrum, like he was like a 5-year-old boy throwing a tantrum, and he'll get right back to doing the same old thing, same old thing. Unbelievable. Wonder why his wife sticks with him. It's crazy. Anyways, there you have it. Thank you, Lady Holly. Thank you, Sir Richard. And we will cover this hearing when he comes back for the second time. I hope we're still here doing it. It'll be in the return of playlist. We do keep track of our inmates. And with that, I'll let you go.
State also, the Mr. Irish only showed up to court once. I happened to be in court that one day. It was in January. I was just let out of the hospital. He never showed up. The day of the sentencing, our whole family is there. I'm there. I've got my victim impact statement. He doesn't show up. Judge says to his attorney, go find out where your client is. You got 5 minutes. Came back out. We talked, my attorney. They gave him 3 additional years. Attorney comes in. Yeah, he's nowhere around. So he got 3 more years. That was it. They issued a warrant for his arrest. He was picked up a week later at Dunkin' Donuts in North Branford. Cop pulled him over. He gave a fake name. Cop was a little suspicious, hassled him a little bit. Finally, I guess he gave him his name, ran it, picked him up, put him in jail. He doesn't deserve to be out. He got, 13 years? What he served? Not even 4? An injustice, an injustice. I live with this every day of my life.